full disclaimer, I am kind of losing my voice, so I'm going to be talking kind of quietly and a little bit raspy, but that's my life today. But anyway, hey guys, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to the Enchanted Library. So today I thought that I would talk you guys through some of the books that I picked up getting to the end, like the last quarter of 2017. It's still January, so I figured I could still use this because I bought and received quite a few books at the end of the year, so I really want to talk about them, and I thought that this would be the perfect way. So without further ado, let's talk books. I've got some tea here to help with my voice. Nothing can't be fixed with a good cup of tea and a book. Really, I mean, yeah, that's just the way life is. Okay, so about all of these books, they are kind of all over the place for genre. There's some YA, there's some fiction, there's a couple of things that I got for Christmas, and one of them is kind of a special edition of one of my favorite books. So I am going to talk you through all of them. I kind of have a pile here and a pile there, so we're gonna get through all of them today, I promise. Alright, so the first book I'm gonna show you is one that has been kind of all over the corners of BookTube for the cover alone, but the story itself sounds really, really cool. And that one is Caravelle by Stephanie Garber, and I absolutely love this cover. I have seen so many different iterations of this cover and of this book, but I am still a fan of the original. Like this, whoever designed this cover is amazing. So basically what Caravelle is about is you've got two sisters, and one of those sisters is to be married. It's an arranged marriage, and she thinks that once that happens, her life is over. So she's not going to be able to do half of the stuff that she always wanted to do, and one of those things is to see this traveling show. Now, what this book encompasses is kind of like a game. So this girl, she goes to the fair and she ends up in the game. So it's such a cool premise. I haven't read it yet, but I am very excited to because it sounds beautiful, and even the back is beautiful. It's got like a little admit one ticket here. So I think that all of the sort of marketing that's gone along with this book has been really well received, and I'm so excited to read it. I just have a lot on my TBR, so this one is on the list though to read, and it's the first book that I'm showing you in this haul. And book number 2 that I will show you guys is The Lonely Hearts Hotel by Heather O'Neill. Now this one, honestly, I'll be fair to you, I was drawn in by the cover. It's beautiful. It is another beautiful cover, and I'm kind of spoiled because it's got deckled edges. I love it when books have that. It just adds something a little bit more. But what this story is, it just sounds so amazing. You've got basically, actually, you know what? I'm going to read this top part here for you because you're going to want to read it if you haven't read it yet. Set in Montreal and New York between the wars, a spellbinding story about two orphans whose unusual magnetism and talent allows them to imagine a sensational future. Like, how does that not just draw you in right there? So yes, I'm just very excited to read this book and sort of see the two different lives intertwined together in an amazing story set around the war. And I mean, as I said in my sort of get to know me video, the newbie tag, I am going to be covering all sort of genres on my channel because I like to read a little bit of everything. If it's historical fiction, if it's sci-fi, if it's fantasy, YA, contemporary, everything I read. So this is not out of the norm for me to be drawn to a book like this, but I'm very excited to read this one as well, and I feel like I'm going to say that about all of these books, but it's true. So for book number 3, let's pop back over to the YA side of things, and this next book, I feel like I'm going to have to be in the right mindset to read because I don't know if it's going to be like a really serious one or if it's going to have a little bit of playfulness, but I feel like it might just destroy me. And that is They Both Die at the End, and it's by Adam Silvera. And this book, I know that it's been around the internet. People have been talking about this. It has been on Bookstagram, BookTube, all over the place. But I am very excited about this because it's such an interesting concept. I mean, basically the premise is everybody ends up knowing the day that they're gonna die. Not right off the bat, but the day that it's gonna be happening, they get a notification, and for that time, they can actually join a group about people who are also going to die that day, and sort of make friends with each other, and spend your last day together if you so choose. And this is about two people doing just that. So, I mean, spoiler alert, they both die at the end. I'm assuming that that's actually going to happen. So I'm just preparing myself for an emotional roller coaster with this book. So that's why I haven't read it yet, but I really, really want to read it, hence why I got it. Now, these next two books are YA again, but they are actually thanks to my friend Tara, who is actually going to be starting up her own BookTube channel shortly because I kind of pressured her into it. But I will leave links to her channel down below because she's sort of just getting things prepped up to get started. Anyway, one of her majorly favorite series is the Lunar Chronicles, which I'll be honest, I wasn't really going to give the time of day. I know that might be a little bit controversial, but it just didn't draw my attention. I like my classic fairy tales, and I kind of don't want them touched, but she sort of bought me the first book, and I really, really like Cinder's story, so I wanted to sort of continue with that. I just didn't realize how much of an anthology series it was. Anyway, long-winded introduction. I picked up, after I finished Cinder, I picked up the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series called Scarlet, and that is obviously by Marissa Meyer. And this one I have read, I have finished it. I did put up my review on Goodreads. I didn't like it as much as Cinder because I think I just got very attached to Cinder's character, so I was sort of just looking forward to her sections in this book. But I am still continuing with the series. I just have to get the next couple, and I'm going to be finishing that off. And then for Christmas, Tara had actually picked me up Stars Above, which is a bunch of short stories about those characters as well, sort of preluding to everything that's happening in the Lunar Chronicles. So I kind of want to wait to read this until I finish the Lunar Chronicles, just because I don't want to risk any potential spoilers. But yes, so it's going to be, I'm basically delving into the Lunar Chronicles really, really late, but I'm excited to finish and see how the story goes. So this next book is actually by a fellow Canadian and an author who I have loved for probably about 15 years now, and that's Kelly Armstrong. Now, her book Rituals, which is the third book in the Canesville series, it came out near the end of last year, and she was actually in my city, so I finally got to meet her. And the bad news is I haven't been able to read all of Canesville yet, so I can't quite get to this book yet, but I mean, I got to meet her. How cool is that? She is like the most awesome person ever. She's funny, and I don't know how she has time to do everything that she does. Like, she teaches at the University of Toronto, and she writes like a million books. She's done so many series, which I love, and they're actually right on this shelf here. I don't know if you can see that in frame, but I was so happy to be able to go see her and get Rituals, and she signed it for me, and I'm so happy. But I'm going to be reading through the first two books in the series, then that way I can get to this one. But yeah, I kind of picked them up out of order just for the sole purpose of seeing Kelly Armstrong in person. Alright, so let's get into a little bit of sci-fi fantasy next. And I find, okay, I'll be honest with you, I really like steampunk. I think steampunk is really cool. The difficult thing though is it's hard to find a good steampunk book. So I've kind of been seeing this book around for a little while, and sad to say, the cover is drawing me in a lot to it. But that one is Clockwork Dynasty, and that's by Daniel H. Wilson. And I mean, isn't that cover just so cool? Like, steampunk to the nth degree right here. And this one I haven't been able to read yet. I do intend to start it. I did put my little flag in it, so then that way I know that it's one of my next ones. But I mean, I'm a sucker for steampunk, and I just want it to be so good. an ingenious new thriller that weaves a path through history, following a race of human-like machines that have been hiding among us for untold centuries. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Basically saying that steampunk things have been living among us this whole time, and it follows the journey of what is happening with that. So I'm pumped to read this. I really need a really good steampunk book. If you have any recommendations, actually, for a steampunk book, leave them in the comments down below, because I'm desperate to find some. I've only really found, like, I think less than 5 that I've actually really enjoyed, so I would love your recommendations. Please and thanks. Alright, so this next one is not new to you if you did watch my coffee table book collection video, but it is Harry Potter, A History of Magic. Now this is the British Library edition that accompanies the exhibit that's happening over there, and it's all in honor of the 20th anniversary of the Philosopher's Stone. This is a beautiful, beautiful book. I got it for Christmas, and it's basically filled with all of the history of J.K. Rowling writing the series. It has doodles, it has handwritten notes about all of the characters, and it's so cool to help you to dive into the mind of J.K. Rowling as she was coming up with the series. And some of them are even dated, so you can kind of think, oh, what was I doing on that day? And yeah, no, I wasn't coming up with one of the greatest stories of all time. No. But if you're a Harry Potter nerd like I am, this is definitely a must-get. So this next one, I guess you could kind of call it like a horror book, but I saw this on, I watch a booktuber called Tilly and Her Books, and she talked about this book a little while ago, and I just got super intrigued by it, so I searched around to find it, and thankfully my local chapters had one, but it is Feed, and that's by Myra Grant, I'm not quite sure about this one, but basically it's kind of about the zombie apocalypse, but it follows a couple of people as they're sort of journaling the experience through radios and podcasts and things. So, I mean, you've got the RSS feed right there, so you can kind of get an idea of where it's coming from, but Feed, it's the first in a series, and I feel like this is another one that I have to be in the right mindset, because I really like The Walking Dead, and I don't want to be too inundated with zombie apocalypse stuff, if you know what I mean. So I might wait until the summer to read this, just because obviously Walking Dead will be on summer break, so this will kind of fill that void for me. Next book. I actually have been wanting to get this one for a very, very long time, and I don't know why I got delayed in getting it. It was actually one of my anticipated reads a couple of years ago on my website that I wrote called nerdsview.com. I'm not as, I don't upload as much anymore on that website, but I do from time to time, so check it out if you'd like. But this book, yes, it was on my list of anticipated reads, and I had been looking forward to reading it for a very long time, and then for whatever reason, it got out of my brain. But I saw it in the bookstore and I picked it up because I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to forget about a book, because that's sad. And the fact that everybody's talking about it now, I feel like I was on the cusp of something if I had read it early on when it was one of my anticipated reads. So I'm a little behind now, but yeah, you know, it happens. But that is V.E. Schwab's A Darker Shade of Magic. And I've heard nothing but really good things about this series. One of my friends, well actually Tara, the one who got me into the Lunar Chronicles, she swears by this series. She absolutely loves it, and I know I will as well. I love the idea of different sort of realms and things and different dimensions. It's really, really cool, and apparently this does it really, really well, so I'm excited to read this. This next series is a beautiful looking series. I feel like this is just very aesthetically pleasing, and I decided to get them both at the same time. It's the first and second in a series, but oh man, if you haven't seen these yet, you're missing out. It is Ever the Hunted and Ever the Brave. Now these are written by Erin Summerhill, and they are part of a Clash of Kingdoms novel series. And aren't they just beautiful? Like, even the back, it's just got amazing filigree, and it's matted pages for the covers, for the dust covers. They're matted, and it's just, oh, it's beautiful. I'm just so happy with these. I'm not going to read anything from this one just because I don't want to spoil myself or anyone else, but I will read a blurb from this one to sort of give you an idea. 17-year-old Britta Flannery is at ease only in the woods with her dagger and bow. I feel like that would be me too. I need to practice my bow skills though, but I do not have my bow and arrows here. They're at another location. She spends her days tracking criminals alongside her father, the legendary bounty hunter for the King of Malum. That is, until her father is murdered. Now outcast and alone and having no rights to her father's land or inheritance, as such is the time, she seeks refuge where she feels most safe, the Everwoods. When Britta is caught poaching by the Royal Guard, instead of facing the noose, she's offered a deal, her freedom in exchange for her father's killer. However, it's not so simple. The alleged killer is none other than Cohen McKay, her father's former apprentice, the only friend she's ever known, the boy she once loved, who broke her heart. She must go on a treacherous quest in a world of warring kingdoms, mad kings, and dark magic to find the real killer. And soon she will learn that what has always made her different will make her a daunting and dangerous force. Oh yeah. Power to women, eh? Like, this is gonna be an awesome read, and I'm so excited to delve into this series because does that not just sound so badass? Like, really, come on. So that is Ever the Hunted, and again, how beautiful is this cover? Next book here is gonna be no surprise, but I feel like it's a must-read for so many people, and that's Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This was such an anticipated story after The Fault in Our Stars. He had a lot to live up to, but you know what? I think he did it. So Turtles All the Way Down, yes, yes. And hey, I even pre-ordered it. So I got the J Squiggle. Always proud of the J Squiggle. If I don't feel like I really have to say anything about this book, it's better to go into it blind and not really knowing what's going on. Yeah, if you haven't got it, pick it up. Okay, so I'm on my second last book, and it's actually following along in a series, which you can see behind me here. Oh, all the lovely Cassandra Clare, eh? So we've got Lady Midnight is where she had left off last I purchased a book of hers, but then we've got Lord of Shadows that came out, and it's massive. Like, how daunting is this? I haven't read it yet for that very reason. It's very daunting, but I usually fly through these books pretty quick. It's just getting started is what sort of puts me off. But I know I will love it. I mean, that being said, I love the prequel series the most. So we've got The Infernal Devices. Those ones are my favorites, following Mortal Instruments, and then I would say after that we've got The Dark Artifices. But I mean, it's a Shadowhunter world, so how can you not love it? She just keeps coming up with all of these cool ideas, and it's mind-blowing. But yes, these covers, can I just say, every cover of Cassandra Clare's is beautiful. It's got like that iridescent thing going on, and it's just perfect. I think this is pretty much cover goals right here. Alright, and now we have come to the end. The last book, but certainly not the least, is actually one that I got kind of as a surprise Christmas gift, because I know it came from a family member, but they just labeled it Secret Santa, and nobody's fessing up. But I was so excited when I got this book because my hands were literally shaking. I felt like I was red in the face, and I was shaking, and I was trying very, very hard not to cry because this book means so much to me. It is one of my favorite books ever, and I've read it so many times I've lost count. So that is Maria V. Snyder, Poison Study, and I have her series, like I have the entire series. It's one of my favorite series, but I did not get it when it very, very first came out. This here is a first edition, and it's signed, and I got it as a Secret Santa gift from one of my relatives, and like I said, no one's fessing up. But whoever it is, if you're watching, I give you all the hugs and love in the world because this was just so cool and so unexpected. This is one of my prized possessions now. I love, obviously, if you're a book person, well, I guess not obviously, but a lot of book people are really into first editions, and I'm trying to get as many first editions as I can of books that I love, and this is also signed, and I do have a collection of signed books, so I'm very happy that I can add this book to both collections, like a first edition and it's signed, and I'm just really, really happy. If you haven't read this series, I recommend it so, so much. It's just, Maria V. Snyder, her writing and her ideas are just so awesome. But this is the last book that I got for 2017. Alright guys, well that does it for my, I don't know what to call this, like my end of 2017 book haul. So it encompasses Christmas presents, it encompasses books I've purchased myself, and it's a lot. So because I got them so late in the year, I haven't quite read through the majority of them, I would say. I haven't read the majority of those books yet, but they are on my TBR. I will be getting to them, and if you want to hear more about any of these books, let me know, because maybe I can sort of move those to the top of my list to read and get going and write a review and spew words at you guys about what I thought. That being said, I guess be sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you did like this video. Please comment down below for any steampunk books that are really, really good that I have, for whatever reason, not had them on my radar, because I need to start building up that collection. And until next time, keep reading.